Bowing isn't just an act of humility or respect. It can mean a whole lot more, especially in Nippon Sangoku when a man's life is on the line. Truly, a bow is what makes a man tick. Nippon Sangoku is a great show about Misumi, who becomes a military tactician. As such, it has to show the tactics themselves. In episode 1, they show a great introduction to said tactics, by killing off his wife. Which, to be fair, isn't a great look for a man who will later go on to protect an army. But in the grand scheme of the show, one life is little compared to the whole country. Now, first impressions not only serve to entice the viewer with what may be coming, but also to serve as a tutorial for what the viewer should be thinking. Even beginning with episode 2, they start putting thought-out moments on cliffhangers as the arcs get bigger and bigger. Thus, as long as the viewer is thinking, they are actively theorizing what is coming next. That theorizing becomes engagement, and when they're engaged, they'll want to watch the next episode. An important thing to note is that the viewer will only be thinking if the character is putting in thought. People will gladly think about whether the character's thought process is correct, or, as mentioned earlier, theorize about what's next. And given that you should be thinking too, you might be wondering how the bow creates the perfect first impression. And the answer is that it doesn't. At least not how you think it would. I mentioned earlier that a first impression should be a tutorial. As such, it should be simple. Therefore, Nippon Sangoku wanted to establish two things when Misumi bowed. Firstly, that Misumi had gained courage. And secondly, that Misumi was smart enough to keep his emotions under control. Both of which it explains directly, hence fulfilling the tutorial. However, beneath all that pretense, unexplained to the viewer, we get closer to the true meaning of the bow. Taira just executed his wife. The logical reaction is to get mad, but Misumi doesn't show a hint of emotion. This part is obvious, the anime tells you it directly. But what you don't realize is that Misumi could show that in many different ways. Prominently, he could show his lack of emotion while standing as is normal and being handed a gift. That's why Misumi bowed. He didn't wish to do anything normal, he wished to defy expectations. Throughout his speech, Misumi continually defied expectations. He agreed to charges against his wife, and he even pressed charges against another man to kill him. But what I love most about the whole speech is that Misumi never does anything explicitly for preventing his own death. That would be expected. He does it simply to enact petty revenge against Taira, his wife's killer, by committing the very same crime that killed his wife, hurting Taira's feelings and making him mad, all in a way that Taira couldn't do anything about. That is the true meaning behind the bow, and the only way to know is to do exactly what the show instructed. All you need to do is think like a tactician. I really love well thought out shows, so if you want to see more explanations on some, be sure to subscribe, and maybe check out my streams, which are hopefully well thought out too.
Thank you for watching.